You wake up at dawn, the kind of morning where the light spills gold through the curtains, and for a fleeting moment, everything feels possible. Today, you tell yourself, is the day. The project you've been avoiding. The book you've been meaning to write. The life you've been meaning to build. Today is when it begins. But then, something shifts. A voice whispers, later. Just 5 more minutes. You'll do it after breakfast, after coffee, after checking your phone. Hours dissolve like sugar in water. The sun climbs higher, and with it, a quiet dread. The day slips through your fingers, and by nightfall, you're left with the same hollow question. Why? Why does this keep happening? Why, when you know what you must do, does it feel impossible to begin? Here's the paradox. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's not a lack of discipline, nor is it some moral failing. It's something far stranger, a rebellion of the self against the self. You want to act, yet you don't. You crave meaning, yet you chase distraction. What if the real enemy isn't your inability to start, but the illusion that you're in control at all? What if procrastination isn't about time management, but soul management? The clock is ticking, but the question isn't how to stop wasting time. It's this: what are you so afraid of? The shadow of avoidance. How fear disguises itself as laziness. The truth is, procrastination is not a flaw. It's a defense mechanism, a silent negotiation between the part of you that dreams and the part of you that fears. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the subconscious self that sabotages progress to protect you from unseen threats. Nietzsche saw it as the conflict between the will to power and the will to comfort, the eternal struggle between ambition and inertia. And Viktor Frankl, who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, understood it as existential evasion, the refusal to confront the weight of your own freedom. Because here's the unsettling reality. When you procrastinate, you're not avoiding work. You're avoiding what the work demands of you. The risk of failure, the terror of insignificance, the vertigo of potential. Your brain would rather endure the guilt of inaction than the agony of effort that might not pay off. It's not logic, it's survival. Modern society magnifies this. The digital age feeds you endless escapes, algorithms designed to hijack your attention, to keep you scrolling instead of striving. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre warned of bad faith, the lies we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. Hell is other people, he wrote, but perhaps hell is also the infinite tabs open in your mind, each whispering, later. Not yet. You're not ready. So ask yourself, what are you really postponing? The task, or the confrontation with your own limitations? The effort, or the realization that you might be capable of more than you've allowed yourself to believe? The clock is still ticking, but now you're starting to see the enemy. The silent theft. How procrastination steals your future self. You tell yourself, it's just one day, one missed deadline, one postponed dream, one silent surrender. What difference does it make? But the mind keeps score. Every time you delay, you're not just putting off a task, you're reinforcing a neural pathway, a habit of avoidance that grows stronger with each repetition. Neuroscience calls this Hebb's law. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Procrastination isn't just a behavior. It's a groove carved into your brain, deepening with every lapse. And the cost? It's not just unfinished projects or cluttered desks. It's the slow erosion of trust in yourself. Every broken promise to start tomorrow is a tiny fracture in your self-respect. Over time, you begin to see yourself as someone who doesn't follow through, and that identity becomes a cage. The ancient Stoics warned of this. You become what you repeatedly do. But there's a deeper, more insidious consequence. Procrastination steals your agency, the fundamental belief that you can shape your own life. The psychologist Julian Rotter called this locus of control. Those who believe they're in charge of their destiny, internal locus, thrive. Those who feel at the mercy of fate, external locus, stagnate. Every time you defer action, you hand another piece of your power away, to time, to circumstance, to your own excuses. And so the days blur. The projects gather dust. The life you imagined remains just that, imagined. But what if you could rewrite the script? The art of war against time, tactics to outwit your own mind. The way out is not to fight procrastination, but to outwit it. This begins with a fundamental inversion. Stop trying to motivate yourself. Motivation is a fickle god that abandons you when you need it most. Discipline, routines, systems, these are the levers of real change. The ancient Spartans knew this. They didn't wait for inspiration to train for battle. They forged themselves through ritual until excellence became automatic. Here's the first counterintuitive truth. Action precedes motivation. You don't need to feel like it to begin. Beginning is what makes you feel like it. The psychological principle of behavioral activation reveals a startling secret. Momentum creates energy, not the other way around. Start small, ludicrously small. Open the document. Write one sentence. Do a single push-up. Trick your brain into motion, and the resistance will crumble. Next, weaponize time. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time allotted. So tighten the leash. Set a timer for 25 minutes, the Pomodoro technique, and vow to focus only until it beeps. The constraint creates urgency, and urgency bypasses perfectionism. But the true rebellion is existential. The philosopher Albert Camus saw life as an act of defiance against the absurd. Your procrastination is surrender, a refusal to engage with the chaotic beauty of creating meaning. So ask yourself, if not now, when? And if not you, who? The clock is ticking, but now, for the first time, you are the one holding it. The alchemy of action. Why procrastination was never the enemy. Here is the revelation that changes everything. Procrastination is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Every time you delay, it's showing you where your fears live. Every time you resist starting, it's pointing to the work that matters most. The work that terrifies you because it could change you. The German poet Rilke wrote, "The purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things." Procrastination is simply the resistance before the breakthrough. So don't curse your hesitation. Decode it. That project you're avoiding, it's not about the task. It's about the version of yourself you'll have to become to complete it. The French philosopher Gaston Bachelard said, "To live life well is to live it as if it were a work of art." And art requires showing up, even, especially, when you don't feel inspired. This is the ultimate truth. Time doesn't care if you use it, but you will care, deeply, painfully, on the day you realize how much of it you've wasted. So begin, not tomorrow, not after one more scroll. Because in the end, the only real procrastination is the delay of becoming who you were meant to be.